As a gaming casual, by the time I'd set up the Retroid Pocket 5, I found myself mentally fatigued to the point where I wasn't actually playing any games on it. Now that is a me issue. I'm a casual, I'm a newbie to this whole thing, and I'm not as knowledgeable as many of you watching likely are. But that doesn't mean that we can't play and get involved as well. I'm really loving this device at the moment, and the way I got back in to gaming regularly was to play some more accessible pick up and play games. This video is going to show you 7 that I found got me back into gaming. This is my personal list, it's not a definitive list, it's not your list, you'll have your own. If you have a suggestion, let me know. These are all on the PS2 because that's why I bought the Retroid Pocket 5. 7 games that I can pick up and play and have a damn good time with. So Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 is my first go-to choice. I don't know if this is because there's a remake with 3 and 4 coming out this year, or whether this is just the best in the OG Tony Hawk's Pro Skater series. For me, this just brings back so much nostalgia. I've never really skated more than for a couple of weeks in my life when I was a teenager, as I think we all did. I'd love to do it, I just can't be bothered to learn, and I'm too scared of hurting myself. And what can be better than doing all these stalls and tricks and manuals and all the other terminology with some of the greatest stars? I've chosen the legendary Rodney Mullen here. For this, the resolution is 4x native. It's quite a simple game, it does run all the way up to that. If you see the odd glitch, it's just about playing with it, changing your settings. I don't really know much about this stuff, as you can probably tell from my other videos on here. I am a casual, a newbie, as I'm sure many of you watching are as well. Maybe there's some experts watching. Give me some advice, it's fine. I have fun playing games like this. You can pick it up, get into a level, you can do challenges. I'm just doing a free skate here, checking out my grinding skills and falling a hell of a lot. It's just a fun game. Reminds me of my childhood. Next up we have WWE SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. This was always my favourite as a teenager, I will have been when this came out, purely because it had Goldberg on it. He was my favourite growing up. And in this, when he came to the WWE, this probably came out in 2004, 3 maybe, because I think that's when Goldberg came. What a great game this is. The amount of game modes you can play, the roster is incredibly deep, the gameplay is fun, it's arcadey, it's nostalgic, the entrances are awesome, the commentary's decent for the time. I'm running this on 2.5 native res, and there's widescreen hacks for a bunch of these games as well. You can probably do more tinkering than I'm doing, I'm just not qualified enough to do it really. As I get Booker T here in the old triple German suplex, it got me thinking, there's a new WWE game out, 2K25. Now I haven't played it, but from what I hear, that is far more realistic as far as the gameplay is concerned. This is really arcadey. You're button mashing for the submissions, you're doing finishes all the time, you're running about really quick, you're kicking, you're doing finishes, signature moves, you're doing the twisting them around, jumping off the top rope. Such a fun game. Great, I think this was the first one that had Elimination Chamber in it. Brings back great memories of SummerSlam from 2003. If I'm ever feeling down, I'll just whack this on. It's absolutely brilliant. I do have it on the PS2, but if you're in bed and you don't have the living room available because you've got a family and they're hogging it, get a bit of Here Comes the Pain on. Win yourself a championship. You will be happier for it. The next one is a racing game. A lot of these games are either sports, racing, or arcadey in style. I'm not the biggest racing game fan, but if I do fancy driving a car around at speed so that the camera goes blurry, this is one of the games I'll turn to. You do get the odd graphical glitch like you see in there. I'm running this at 2.5 res, you can go lower if you wish. But sometimes when you don't want to break the actual speed limit in real life in your car, you can just break it on here and drive around. Some of these games, the racing games especially, are a little bit trickier to run in my experience. I'm sure there's ways of optimizing it that I just don't have a clue of, they're way above my head. Tried to get Need for Speed Underground 2 to work, it was just jittery even at 1x resolution. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Someone out there probably does, let me know as I crash through a window here. What's more fun than that? No idea what's going on the blurry minimap. Not the greatest game, not my favourite type, but I just wanted to show you this because if you are into racing games, you can just open it and play it. Up next we have one of my favourite games from the PS2 era, Soulcalibur II. I am the main man, Hayachi, who I believe is from Tekken, right? I think this game got one unique character on the PS2, the GameCube got Link from the Zelda series. I was always Hayachi on this PS2 version. I put many an hour into this, and I'm not a great fighting fan. I'm not a good gamer really. I don't know why I bother. But I just love this game. It runs beautifully at 2.5 native res. So many memories. So many. I'm going to have to nip back into this and do the arcade properly so that I can unlock all the unlockable characters. In the meantime, you can enjoy me as Nightmare taking on Taki. And a spoiler alert for you, I do perfect her in the first battle. Honestly, if someone would have told me when I was a teenager that you could pretty much play any game on the PS2 on a device in the palm of your hand, I would have laughed them out of the room. It's just good, isn't it? Because when you grow up, you typically only have a limited amount of games, and if you do get one or two for Christmas or your birthday, you pick and choose your battles. I went for sports, fighting, and wrestling games, even though I was crap at the fighting games. So I never really got to play narrative-based games, you know, like Metal Gear Solid and stuff like that. So that's what I'll probably be trying to do with this. But I'm playing these, as I mentioned in the intro, to get me back into the love and the habit of gaming, and they are really doing the trick, especially this one. This is God of War. This is what I am currently playing whenever I get half an hour or an hour free. It's hack and slash, it's fun, all-out action, there's mythology, there's history in there, there's blood, there's guts, different enemies, there's, I think, what are these, Minotaurs or something? Then you've got Medusas, you have to tear their head off. These guys, you have to knock them in air and fight them and then stab them in the mouth. What more could you ask for in a video game? Blood, guts, gore, with a bit of education and history. This runs pretty well at 2.5 native res. You can go higher, however, in some of the big boss battles, like I forget what the snake's called in the opening level, that was jittery a little bit at 3 times native. I've found that 2.5 works for me, so it's just a case of tinkering, as I've said before. I've got a lot of time for this game. I really missed out on it when it came out. It just wasn't something I was aware of back in the day. I know that sounds daft, but if it wasn't FIFA or a WWE game, then I didn't really get a look in. Next I went for a first-person shooter. This is Call of Duty 3, running on 2 times native res. I'm a rubbish shot. This is the tutorial part of it. And there's a reason why I never went higher than normal difficulty on any of the COD games, because hard or veteran, I would not get past this tutorial, I don't think, and there's no one even shooting at me. I do actually die during this opening scene. Someone just ran through a wall there. That's a bit of a graphical glitch, but yeah, we killed a few of these people. I think it's the Germans in World War II. Threw a grenade there. And just trying to figure out the buttons. The reason I think it's pick up and play, it's all out action. Once you get past the training level and the introductory scene in a sort of van that you're on, it gets blown up, spoiler alert. Then you're straight in at the deep end and you just action. You know what the Call of Duty games are like. This runs pretty well once you get used to the buttons. Make sure you configure it right. If you're wondering why I'm not using my hands here, I'm using an Xbox Series X via Bluetooth to play the game, and I did have to reconfigure my right analog stick because turning left wasn't working, but I fixed it, and I might show people how to do that in a future video. Call of Duty 3, great game. I'm not great at it though. You can see the theme here. And finally we have another sports game. This is Madden 12, running at 1.75 native res. This is one where I had to tinker about with the resolution. And it's another game I'm terrible at. I should give up. Although I did do an interception there. That was me, not the computer, that was me. Intercepting a pass off somebody. But anytime I pick an offense or a defense, I just ask Madden. I've always asked Madden since Madden 2005. I like the idea of American football, but my knowledge of it just isn't there. I was trying to find a FIFA ROM that actually worked and wasn't corrupted, but I was struggling. As you can see, there's a little bit of stutter here in the cutscenes, but in the top right, you can see, I'm just watching this back, I think that's running at 60 frames. You can keep them on, sort of toggle them on and off sometimes. It does get distracting if you're in God of War and it's running fine. Looking at that every 3 seconds sort of takes you out of the escapism of playing a game, which is the whole point. But when you're trying to tinker with it at first, the first time you've played it, it's good to have up there, because then you'll know if you need to go lower, or if you could go higher on your native res. And that's it. Those were the 7 games that I played to get me back into the love of gaming. As I said there, I'm really into God of War at the moment. On the side, I'm playing Metal Gear Solid 1 on the PS1, but that is more of a narrative, need to put away an hour or 2 minimum to get involved in that story. God of War, hack and slash, the rest of them pick up 5-10 minutes if you're on a break at work, if you're on a lunch hour, you're travelling, they're all doable. I want to know what you would have on your list. What are the games that you turn to when you're in a bit of a funk? If you just want to have a quick gaming sesh, what are the ones that you turn to? Doesn't have to be PS2. Maybe I'll do some more videos for GameCube games, PSP games. Let me know and I will cover it. Drop a comment, I'd love you to like the video, share it if you found it interesting or useful, probably not. I'm Stu, the Yorkshire Retro Gamer, and I'll see you next time. Cheerio.